up to Cheltenham, Dan. I mean, you're well used to it now, but do you still get jittery?
A bit, yeah. Hopefully we'll have a winner. Maybe we'll have two, I don't know. Last year we had 4, it was remarkable. But I actually lay there last night thinking, just all get there, please. And if you get beat, you get beat. You know, you can kind of handle that. It's the not getting there that really stings.
Bizarrely, people's whole season seems to be judged on how well they've done at Cheltenham. You know, no one could tell them how many winners you had apart from those 4 winners at Cheltenham. But with the Trainers' Championship as well, has that made things even more awkward for you?
Not awkward, but it's highlighted the fact that, you know, it's important, I suppose. Yeah. It's not going to be make or break, I don't think, from a Championship perspective, because we have Aintree afterwards. But if we have a bad Cheltenham and a bad Aintree, then we're in big trouble. With the horses we've got, if we can be competitors, we're going to be, you know, top-end competitors. So we're quite comfortable with that. We're in a lucky position that we can say that, and we don't say that lightly. But the reality is, you know, you're only around the corner from something bad happening. You know, like Nicky last year. I mean, who could legislate for that? So it just shows you the fragility of the main players in our sport, the horses.
The Talking Horse is unquestionably the new line. Yeah. Tell us the actual story about how you came about him.
Darren Yates wanted to buy a Cafe Tara. He said, if you ever see a really nice Cafe Tara, I want to buy a Cafe Tara. I want to name it after Black Lion, because he was by Cafe Tara. And he wanted the Cafe Tara because of Black Lion being by Cafe Tara. So just meant to be. And actually, you wouldn't believe it, I bought him when I saw him in the indoor school of the first house I ever lived in, Sandal House Farm. It's about 10 minutes from here. And it was just, yeah, I loved him when I saw him. When we first started working him, he looked like he took it all very, very well, but he was a bit weak and never ran him until he was 5, which I think was probably key. And then we thought he could go well in his bumper. And when sort of Harry pulled him out and got going, like, it was impressive then. And that's when we thought, wow, we thought we had a nice one. That was when we thought we might have something a bit unusual. Once we started jumping him in the autumn, it was quite obvious that he was just that little bit different, and then we were always going to aim for the Challow then, really. I mean, we could have gone, I suppose, Boxing Day for the old Tolworth, but I just thought the Challow 2.5 was just a more suitable race for him. But I'm never afraid to drop him back in trip.
Because he's got boot as well.
Well, yeah, and I just think the way he races, he just, not behind the bridle, but he just races there without being keen. And if you need to go a little quicker, he can. If you want to go a little slower, he'll accept that. What sets him apart, I've always said, is his mind and his rideability. Like, if Harry wants to go a bit quicker, if he wants to go inside, outside, like, he'll do it all. He's almost like remote controlled, to be honest with you. But
you've got me thinking now. I thought you were certain to go for the Turners. Now you just put doubt in my mind.
He's definitely going for the Turners.
Okay.
The only reason he wouldn't is if it was unusually heavy or something like that. But I'm just talking beyond. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he dropped back in trip. I'd be in no rush to go up to 3 miles until, you know, results told us we had to.
You know, people will say, oh, the Challow form and that Challow factor, but I think we were never going to run in the Challow if it was heavy, if it was a real testing, which it has been in years gone by. And on the day the ground was right, so we took a chance. And to be honest, he won very easily.
Is it, from your point of view, I mean, we've spoken to Dan how he is to train, but what does he like to ride and what does he like as a character?
Oh, if you rode him at home, you wouldn't think you were sat on anything.
Really?
No, honestly. He just does what he has to, goes under the radar. But then the second that tape goes back and you're in a race, he just switches on. You know, I've always said he's not a slow horse. Like, if it was very soft, like, I wouldn't had any problems dropping back to a Supreme or anything. But I just think he's got it all. And obviously the form of the Challow, you know, a few horses come out and ran since, but yeah, I'm not too worried about that. He won very impressively, and we're really looking forward to Cheltenham now.
Having JP McManus, I know you've trained for him before, but having JP in the yard is, you know, it's a badge of honour, if anything.
Oh, it is, and he's, you know, him and his team, they're just so thorough and understanding, and, you know, they get it. You know, they get it. They've no one's been to more dances with horses than them. They know the ups, they know the downs. They've had great horses, they've had not great horses, you know, and he joins the team in the hope to be one of the great ones. But, you know, he needs it all to go his way, just like they all do. But having JP on board, you know, you get the confidence that the team know that.
Load of Sood as well. I mean, he was a very good handicap hurdler, but he's an awful lot better chaser, isn't he?
We've always thought he was going to be a better chaser, and we almost went chasing last year, but kind of like in discussion we just decided to get him a bit more experience over hurdles. So we always look at Edwardstone and see Edwardstone ran in all them handicap hurdles, got all that experience. He's in good form, isn't he?
Having a good scratch in it.
So we went and got more experience over hurdles before we went chasing, but we always presumed he would be a lot better chaser when it happened, you know. So we're delighted to see it.
And he's the best we've got against the likes of Majborough, isn't he? I mean, he looks, without wishing to be rude, he looks just solid. He looks rock solid. You know, he jumps, he tries, he stays. He's got lots of things in his favour, isn't he?
Got a bit of course form as well.
Yeah, course form.
Yeah, there's not a lot. Like you say, he's solid. Is it enough to beat Majborough? We'll find out.
You can only train your own, though.
Well,
can't
exactly.
You know?
I have to say, I'm really, really happy with him. I think he's a massive chance, actually. I do. Yeah, I'm not going to go and inflate it and go, yeah, he's going to beat Majborough and everything else. But I just like everything this horse does. You can go fast. He can go. You know, if they go fast, he can drop in. If you don't, he can sit up sides. He's rideable. He's versatile in terms of his track. He's been around Cheltenham before. And he's a good enough hurdler to be an Arkle winner. Sometimes, you know, if you're not a good enough hurdler, you're not going to win an Arkle. Okay, he doesn't have the Grade 1 hurdle next to his name that Majborough does, but, you know, I just like everything about him.
Every horse is beatable. You know, there's nothing that's unbeatable. Majborough's been brilliant. To the eye, he's looked very impressive. But I think our horse ticks a lot of boxes. He's got track form over fences. He's a lot of experience under his belt. He's agile, you know, he's nimble. I think he can cope with everything that Cheltenham chucks at you, especially on that old course. It's a tight track and you've got to be on it.
Well, we're talking about up-and-coming horses. Protektorat has been there, done it, got the T-shirt, got everything. And again, he's got to have a massive chance in the Ryanair, hasn't he?
I think so. His constitution's phenomenal. Like he's always there for us. He just loves racing. He loves training. Is he
easy to train? Is he straightforward?
He's quite keen, but all he wants to do is do it. Do you know what I mean? He's mad keen to get out there, and he's a pleasure. You know, look back to when we first started with him. He was a hooligan.
Was he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, first time we ever ran him, Harry fell off him at the third. He literally took off from here to Stratford High Street and went splat in the third hurdle, and that was it. And Harry called him a few names, I think, after that for a day or two. But he's just always had that desire to run, and he's just brilliant.
And his performance last time at Windsor was. When they win that easily, people tend to ignore the race, don't they? They say it's nothing.
Well, that day Harry jumped out, made the run in, made it hard work for the others. We knew it was going to suit him going left-handed. I always knew that the Peterborough was going to be a bit of a row. I just hoping we'd get away with it, and we didn't. Maybe if we'd have made the run in, we might have got away with it.
I wasn't sure it was the left-handed as much. He just didn't like being ridden like that, did he? Or restrained?
Well, no, but right-handed as well. Like Harry was always rowing with him. Like I say, if we'd have made the run in, maybe we'd have got away with it anyway. I don't know, because he is, with respect, he is, I think, as good as he is at Windsor. So yeah, I mean, look, some days you win, some days you don't, some days you get it right, some days you don't. And look, maybe the Peterborough, we got it wrong. Maybe we would never have won anyway going that way round. But I always had a worry going that way.
You'd have no worries. That everything's right for him, Cheltenham, as we saw last year,
right.
Isn't it? You know, and it's just.
I think he's a great chance. He's rock solid. He's in the form of his life. He couldn't, you know, how can you be any better than you were at Windsor?
No, you couldn't. And obviously it'd be poignant for John Hales as well. And,
exactly.
You know, losing John.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe it's meant to be.
Take no chances. To go and beat Carl Jess last time was a fair performance.
It was. I actually fancied her.
Did you?
Yeah, because she's been unbelievable this year. I mean, I was running her in the summer over 3 miles, and yet she's won a listed race and a graded race over 2 miles in the winter. So I was perhaps getting it wrong, but I think the reality is she's improving. That's all. I think she's just getting stronger. She loves her racing. She's super confident now. She sees out that trip really well. There's no question 2.5 has to suit her more than 2.
Yeah. And she got the because a lot of horses don't have the temperament for Cheltenham.
Oh yeah, she has.
Well, she's hard.
Oh yeah, tough. She loves it. I mean, if you allowed her, I'd say she'd race every 10 days for you. She loves racing.
That's a massive plus,
yeah,
isn't it?
She loves racing, and she just loves competing. She's very easy at home. That mare's race, it could cut up yet. You know, if Brighter Days Ahead and Lossiemouth go the champion, which is looking probable. Are we allowed to say that? Probable. Yeah. I mean, it's not impossible. She's sort of like starts second or third favourite. So, okay, I think we have to be realistic and say Lossiemouth and Brighter Days Ahead are beyond us.
But Brighter Days Ahead was unbeatable last year.
Yeah,
she got beat.
Yeah, no, exactly, and that's what you have to remember. You know, when you go to Cheltenham with your best horses, you know, you are going with your best horses, and sometimes, you know, someone's best horses can beat the other's best horses.
What about little Langer Dan then? What's the news on him?
He's not easy. We worked him the other day. He worked, I wouldn't call it moderately. He just does what he wants. I think everyone's getting a bit of a taste of how difficult he actually is. Like the handicap has dropped him £2 for desperate runs.
Well, you've upset him, haven't you?
Well,
you've upset him.
clearly. But like the handicaps aren't really on the agenda. I mean, I entered him in the Coral Cup. When I spoke to Colin, who owns him, I said, "Why are we entering the Coral Cup?" And I said, "Don't really know, but I think we should." But he's going to run in the stairs as long as he's okay. But he has not run well. His work's hardly been sparkling. We're just taking it on trust. But to be honest with you, we took it on trust last year.
Genuinely? Are you genuinely saying that?
Yeah, genuinely, I took it on trust last year. I thought the first Coral Cup, I was a bit like, I think he can win this. Last year, yeah, the closer we got to the race, the more I started to believe it because it had happened before. But it was all the build-up was on trust. There was nothing more than that. He had actually bled on the run before Cheltenham, and he had ulcers. I know everyone thinks that was a convenient excuse, but he genuinely had ulcers. He's just not. I don't know why. He's terribly awkward to train in the autumn and the winter. I mean, like we all joke and say he only runs fast when he's got a Guinness village to go past. But I hope he's got the same timing again this year because I mean, literally, that's it. It's up to him. Like he's a hard horse to motivate. He's unique. I always say to Colin, like I could train for another 30 years. I might never ever have one like him again. That's so unpredictable. But good.
It wouldn't surprise you if he went close in the stairs.
No, it wouldn't, because he's obviously the ability and he's obviously, you know, the time of year really suits him. But on homework, absolutely not. No chance, 1,000,000 to 1. But homework doesn't count all the time, does it?
We'll keep the recording of that. Everyone's a competitor at Cheltenham, but Willie Mullins, he's just different, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
different class.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, you've got to look at the depth of quality he has, and just be in awe of it, and just, you know, even as one of his biggest competitors, all I can do is applaud, really. And you know, he's got on record before. He's such a nice bloke. He's impossible to hate as well. So.
That's the most annoying thing, isn't it? If you've got someone you dislike, yeah. it makes it easier, doesn't it?
Exactly. And he's got that team behind him. You know, he's got all those ex-jockeys, and you know, he's got that purchasing team that he has absolutely got spot on. And that I think is actually the benchmark. Of course, his training is phenomenal. You know, his standard of riders at home and his riders at the track and his tactics and everything else, they're top class. But to be honest with you, they always would be. Do you know what I mean? I think the one thing where he sets the bar beyond where we all are at the moment is his purchasing. And it's all about relationships. You know, we're building those up all the time, and I think that's why we're getting better and better horses. But it's not just a case of going and outbidding him. You know, his relationships, you know, are rock solid. No one's going to get those horses before Willie does. So you need to find a different route, and that's why I think we're all struggling to catch up quickly, because he's got that angle on us, and he's going to have that angle on us until we find a different way, really.
Unexpected party and all these pre-Cheltenham things. I've been talking about this. He won the Grand Annual last year. Will he follow up?
I think it's going to be hard. Higher mark. He's a year older. Like, there's a lot of things suggesting that he won't. But the only thing is he's just started to come back to form. He hasn't run all that well all winter. He actually ran nicely the other day at Windsor, finished second. Handicapper put him up a pound for that, which is no biggie really. But I thought everything went so right for him last year. I think it needs to go equally right this year off a higher mark, and I think that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. I'd say he's one of our best chances to be placed in the race he runs in, because I just think he'd be rock solid. But to say he's just going to go and win, I think is quite a bold statement when he's on a higher mark than last year. But who knows? This is
Valgrand, Dan. I'm not sure about him. When I saw him win at Cheltenham, I thought this is a right horse. Then he got beat over 2.5. Where does he stand? I mean, County Hurdle.
Yeah, County Hurdle is the race for him as long as the ground's okay. If the ground was really soft, I wouldn't even run.
Okay.
But if you'd have said to me at Christmas, would you fancy him? I'd say, well, a little maybe. But actually, the closer we're getting to the time, his work is better. He's really bright. He just seems like a better horse now than he did in those defeats. You know, don't get me wrong, that day he went to Cheltenham and won that Grade 2 easily. He was like this. But then, in hindsight, he probably wasn't as bright as he is now for those subsequent runs, and he couldn't carry top weight in handicaps a couple of times.
He's not huge.
No, he's not huge, but he's probably the size of those horses that won the County Hurdle for us before.
It's a race you've got a rich history in, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and we've done well in it. I think, like I say, the closer we're getting to the day with him, the more I'm starting to believe it could happen. If you'd have said to me at Christmas, I'd have been, yeah, he probably will run in that race, but do I really, really honestly fancy him? But now I'd say, yeah, he's looking like he could be a player.
The handicap put him up £22 for one run. It's crazy, but he's dropped him a few pounds since.
I think along the way, though, you've upset the handicapper a few times, that's why.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can upset him again. We've got to prove him wrong, that's our job, you know. But I think he's on a competitive mark without being thrown in. And he's in good form. We've given him a break since Kempton now and trained him just for this race. So ultra competitive as it always is.
Well, this is Be Aware, Dan, who, judging by some shots of him on social media, can be a little bit of a boyo when he went galloping at Huntingdon.
Yeah, that wasn't planned. It just shows you though what they can be like. And I've always said this horse, loads of talent, but mentally not as robust as some others. But I take a lot of confidence from the fact that he went to Cheltenham for the Greatwood, a big day. He went to Ascot to go under the stands there is a big thing. You know, if they're ever going to sort of freak out, they'll do it on those days, and he didn't. But when he's really fresh, like he was at Huntingdon, like it's not a very pleasant experience for the rider. But yeah,
or the trainer, I'd imagine, with your head.
Yeah, well,
in your
I was
hands.
watching, going, oh yeah, just do something different. But he's loads of ability. If he settles in the Coral Cup, which I don't see why he wouldn't, I actually think that start for him is a good start across the middle.
Yeah.
You can get onto a bend early, and hopefully he drops the bridle and they go to gallop. I think he's a great chance, really do.
Those big races suit him, doesn't he? He gallops through the line quick, and he likes passing horses, doesn't he?
I mean, we got to jump in the last. I thought we were going to win the Greatwood.
So did I, actually.
Yeah, we got to Burdett Road's tail and he took off again. He showed that flat speed that we ultimately don't have. So I think that's why it's enormously important that we're taking that step up in trip, because I think if you ran him in a county hurdle, he'd run very well and be placed. But ultimately, I think he's going to be susceptible to the odd one or two with a little bit more toe. I think by going the Coral, I think you allow that stamina, you know, that middle distance ability to come through.
What about Panic Attack? Would she?
She's going to run in the Plate. Yeah, another
okay.
tough mare. Another tough mare. Definitely better over a fence. And I'd love to see a load of rain on Wednesday night for her. If Thursday was on the soft side, it'd suit Protektorat, Panic Attack, Catch Him Derry in the per temps. So yeah, perhaps a lot of rain Wednesday night would be ideal.
It doesn't really ever get that deep though, these days at Cheltenham. Not like whatever people say, it can rain and rain and rain, but it doesn't get heavy, does it?
I remember, I think it was 2-3 years ago, whenever it was, I walked round there on the Friday before, and I was like, oh my, this is going to be unbelievably soft. There's going to be, pull-ups and non-runners on the day and everything else. I think by Tuesday they nearly broke the track record. That time of year as well, when the days are longer and obviously the moisture's getting absorbed by the fact the grass is growing more, I think you can dry out very, very quickly. But I think, good. I've never took a horse to Cheltenham and been unlucky with the weather really, and said, oh well, I'd have won if it was softer, or I wouldn't have won if it was better ground or whatever. I think when you're racing horses of that quality, realistically, the ground that they provide at Cheltenham is good for all.
I've gone through all the obvious horses that I think you've got a chance of winning with at the festival, but is there anything that I haven't mentioned that I perhaps should have, you think could run well?
I think Fortune the Mare in the bumper has been overlooked,
right?
Just because he got beat at Huntingdon last time, but if you watch it back, he didn't stop pulling till he turned in.
Why, just because, is he a keen horse?
Yeah, he is. He is very keen, and I knew I had to get a run into him because I knew he'd be keen. I couldn't go straight to Cheltenham because I knew how keen he'd be, so I made sure I got that run into him, and hopefully the benefit of having that run back to Cheltenham, fast run race, he's won there before. I think he's going to be overlooked, and
has he calmed down since then?
It has crowned him a bit, but I mean, you still wouldn't be able to miss with him between now and then. You've got to do plenty with him.
Really?
Yeah, he's a lot of ability. Perhaps doesn't quite know how to channel it yet, but yeah, a lot of ability.
Is your team in as good a form as you were going into last year's festival this time around?
It is, but how did we ever presume we'd have 4 winners last year? You know what I mean? I feel like it is. I feel like we've got a real strong team. We've got some depth as well to that team. But why did we have 4 winners? Of course it was preparation, but the stars aligned on the day as well, and I think we need that still.
Does Cheltenham still mean to you? Is it still the be all and end all? Is this what you need, or you got your eyes on the Jockeys Championship? What is?
You got your eyes on everything, haven't you? That's the problem. You want it all, but unfortunately you can't have it all. You realise that as you get a bit older. But Cheltenham, people can't get away from it. It is our Olympics. It is the most important meeting of the year. It's where every owner, trainer, jockey aspires to be. And to be there riding winners, training winners, owning winners. I don't think that Cheltenham should lose that. That is what it is. That is why it's so special. And I think if we take that away from Cheltenham, I think we're bringing that top bar down, aren't we? So absolutely, if I could have any winner all year, it's you want to win at the Cheltenham Festival.